Charlie Kirk started all this when he was a kid, like my son's age, Micah's age. Charlie Kirk started like Turning Point and all that stuff like way back then. Isn't that crazy? He did more in his very short life than most people you'll ever meet. I got to go to it's like, I can't remember what it's called, a founders meeting, a founders retreat, or like a funders retreat. It was something like that. But my friend of my wife, she's rich, and she's conservative, and she's politically active. So she was a donator, a big dollar donator to Turning Point USA, and so she got me a badge to go to TPUSA's founders retreat in Coronado, and I'm like, heck yeah, heck yeah. So I went to go, and I went to see what Turning Point USA actually does, because it's a meeting for the people who actually fund Turning Point. It was like it was like a, what do they call that, like a stockholders thing? But it's not stock, it's all donations, right? And there's guys that are like, I decided to donate an extra $3 million this retreat. I'm like, dang, these guys are deep pockets. And so yeah, my wife got to meet Riley Gaines there. That was cool. But that was the day before I got to go. So I got to go to the meeting where Charlie just comes out and does the whole spiel on what everything TPUSA does. It's so much stuff. It's like most of what people think of, even fans, even me, when I've been a Charlie Kirk fan for years. But mostly all I ever saw was like just videos of him on YouTube. That is like this much of what Turning Point does, right? He has, and he says it sometimes, like, what did you do for the country? And he'll be like, I've got over 1,000 Turning Point chapters on college campuses in America. And like, that's another one thing. He's also got a thing that they started this year called Club America. Club America is like, it's like a, what do you call it? Like a replacement for the Boy Scouts or something. It's like a younger version, like a high school version of Turning Point. So it's like you could have a Club America in your school, and you can start a charter in your school for high schoolers. But it's not it doesn't say TPUSA, so like school administrations won't get like all, oh, we can't have that conservative. But it's just Club America. Who doesn't want to be in Club America? But that's a new thing thing they started. He was talking about that at the conference. And like, he's got all these different like wings and business. I don't want to say businesses, but like there's one that goes that it's like a women's thing, and there's the church thing, and there's like all these different facets to TPUSA. And the head of the whole thing. Okay, that's the thing. The head of the whole thing was Charlie. But each of these chapters have their own heads. Each of these facets of TPUSA has its own lead, right? You can't dismantle that, the whole thing, by removing Charlie Kirk. And my hope and my expectation for what just happened yesterday is that over, like he said, he's got 1,000 just TPUSA charters. He's got 1,000 TPUSA charters. Over. Each of those has a head. My hope is that 1,000, 10,000 Charlie Kirks rise And I was like, this is like, I am Spartacus. You want to take down Spartacus? I am Spartacus. And I think Charlie naming his organization Turning Point was actually prophetic, because taking him out of the equation, I think, is going to be a turning point for this country. It was painful, but what they meant for evil, God meant for good. All things work for good to those who love God and are the called according to his purposes. So I really think, look, sometimes something really bad has to happen to make way for something bigger, better, more powerful. I am Spartacus. Me doing this little thing, this little channel, I try to do the same thing. I never really thought about it, because, like, you know what they did? They took out the nicest guy. The nicest guy they disagree with. Charlie Kirk was never, you get a lot of guys out there, like, I don't want to name names, but you know who I'm talking about. A lot of the talking heads, they'll be rude, they'll be insulting, they'll be dismissive, they'll be all the negative attributes that you can find in the debate space. Charlie Kirk was the nicest guy in the debate space. It was like, what do we want as a culture? What do we want as a country? What do we want as a world? We want people to be able to sit down and talk to each other politely when they disagree. That was his entire ministry. That was his entire operation. He sat down with people with whom he disagreed and calmly, patiently talked about it. It's like everything we're supposed to be. Everything even the left would claim they would want. Except that's not what they want, is it? That's not what they want. They want any opposing voices silenced. But look, I think they stuck their foot in it, I think. Yeah, he was always soft-spoken and controlled and never abrasive. That's right. And he listened and then he responded. He wasn't one of these guys who's like trying to yell over you or talk, just waiting for their turn to talk, right? He was the best example of a debater that I can think of in this space. I mean, look, I love, like, Andrew Wilson. I love listening to him. And his wife was on there because they're saying, like, somebody's got to come in, fill Charlie's shoes for these stages. And Andrew Wilson's wife was like, I know a guy. And I'm like, no, I absolutely love Andrew Wilson. I love listening to him tear people in little pieces. But no. Somebody... So if you want to replace Charlie Kirk, you have to replace it. I mean, you can't replace Charlie, but you want someone to fill his spot. You have to find someone who has the same energy, the same patience, the same, I don't know. First of all, the same freaking he had so much information in his brain. Oh, but I'm getting way off on this tangent. Those I was going to say, it's like he did so much more, 31 years, than pretty much anyone I can think of, because he built so much, right? in this time. And he was always like, there's so much to do. Let's get to work. Even John, JDA, he showed me like the text. I think he put it in the Discord, like of Charlie's last text to him, which John didn't even respond to. It was like over Christmas or so, New Year's or something. And he just said, like, he ends it with lots of work to do. Like let's get to, we got a lot of stuff. And that's just kind of the attitude. It's like always there's so much to do for one lifetime. They made it abundantly clear they don't want discussion. Yeah. That's the clearest message you could send by killing the nicest guy in the debate. Right? Roscoe says, the best and brightest who represented real hope for the future of America. Well, I hope it's a I am Spartacus moment. I hope people should start wearing I am Charlie Kirk shirts. Even personalities like Mark Hamill and Stephen Colbert took notice. They saw a line that must never be crossed. And then oh my gosh, I don't even know if I want to talk about the freaking psycho demonic vitriol coming out of people on Blue Sky, Facebook. I didn't even go to, I don't have Facebook. Oh man, that DC troon friggin' writer of Red Hood came out talking smack, got him fired. I'm sorry, but I'm okay with cancel culture now. I know we did that whole Comicsgate thing with everything was just no cancel. It's ridiculous cancel. Nah, you know what? You guys have been using it on us for forever. Since the beginning of the church. I brought this up to my pastor because he was talking about Acts and how, like, everyone had everything in common and all that stuff. And he's trying to talk about how that's not about socialism, blah, blah, blah. And after church, I was like, John, I don't know if you've ever thought about this, but the reason people had to sell everything and give it to their fellow believers is because in the early church during that time of Acts, when you became a Christian, you got canceled. You accepted Christ, you were kicked out of the synagogue, which meant if you had a business, your entire business of Jewish customers would no longer buy from you. Jewish owned retailers, I hate to say retailers, it probably wasn't a word back then, wouldn't sell to you. You could not buy or sell. You couldn't make money. You couldn't spend money. You were canceled. Like Canadian truckers. The banks wouldn't take your money anymore, right? I mean, I don't mean to laugh, but it was like the original cancel culture was in the book of Acts. And they've been trying to use that ever since. I don't know about ever since, but they certainly been trying to use it these past few years. And look, if you're going to come out and gloat and say, I'm praying for the bullet. I mean, I'm not telling the banks to cancel your bank account, but I'm telling anybody at DC, you really want to work with somebody like that? Really? I noticed Tom Taylor was deafeningly silent. No words of, remorse or encouragement or anything like that. But smart enough to keep his freaking mouth shut. So good on you, Tom, for keeping your mouth shut. That was probably the smartest thing you could have done yesterday. Melissa says he set a good example, unwavering in his honesty, but in peace. Very impressive. Yeah, and all these people, I swear, all these people that are on Twitter and whatnot, calling him a racist, calling him a Nazi, calling him a this and that and the other, homophobic. I guarantee you they've never watched like a full campus crusade. They've never watched him actually answer these questions because all those he does that. He's like, what, can you name one thing that I've ever said that's homophobic? Can you name one thing that I've ever said that's racist? Because these kids at those things, they'll come up to him and they'll say the same thing. He's like, yeah, hold on a second. Can you name one thing I've ever said that's racist or homophobic or any of this stuff you're saying? Can you name one thing? And of course they can't. Some of them are like, oh, you said if you got on a plane and there was a black pilot, you'd be worried that they got their job through affirmative action. You know who else made that same joke? Larry David. In fact, he did an entire episode of Curb Your Enthusiasm about it. Did anybody think that Larry David is actually a racist because he made that joke? He made an entire episode about that joke. About it was a friend of his going to a black doctor, and he said, "Yeah, I'm not worried about the the affirmative action thing." And it became a whole thing. It's like, oh, Larry's racist. He's not racist. Literally, like his best friend that lives with him was a black dude, and it's like, oh man, that's such a funny show. But it's like you can't make that kind of a joke. Look, if I got on a plane and there was a female pilot, we've seen how that turns out. Remember the female upside down plane from the female run airline? It was a Delta airline. What do you call it? Where it's like their section, whatever. Like they control all. It was an all female run Delta Airlines hub. That's the one you've seen the videos, right, of the upside down plane with everyone getting off of the plane because somehow or another the female run Delta managed to turn an entire plane upside down. Astonishingly without killing anybody, so I'll give them props for not killing me. How do you get a plane to go completely upside down? I wish there was a video of this happening, but you see the video of the aftermath of people getting. So yeah, there's affirmative action has problems. I ain't gonna deny affirmative action causes some problems maybe. Yeah. So you can't use that to say, oh, Charlie Kirk's a racist. Yeah, Charlie, you're a racist. Meanwhile, he's sitting there next to Candace Owens when the guy's pointing out how racist Charlie Kirk is. All of this stuff is nonsense, and they use it to demonize him and try to make it sound and to make so they gloat. They're so happy. They're so happy Charlie Kirk was assassinated. It's so disgusting. Zeta says they never wanted discussion. They've been violent since before Marx praised the Paris Commune. They've always been pure evil. It's my son here. We were just talking earlier because he couldn't sleep all night. He was thinking about stuff. But one of the things he was thinking about was he's seen a demon. And so he was like asking me like what I thought about the spirit realm and stuff like that. And it was very what I had already preconceived. He very much overlapped in his personal experience. I'm like, yeah, it sounded about right. But I was making the point to him that it's like, it's strange as like you saw something that most people are never going to see. But they're there. They're there. And they're doing their best to influence people to be sinful and ultimately evil. And you could see it in the responses of this nicest guy who just happens to disagree with people. If you couldn't like Charlie Kirk, not just couldn't like, absolute vitriolic hatred for the guy, so much so that you have tears of joy that he was assassinated. You got a devil in you. You are so far down the evil path that you've been in bed with Satan. I'm telling you, you are evil. And you need to call out to Jesus Christ and have his angels protect you and just seek righteousness. If this is your attitude, you are in bed with Satan. You are doing the lambada, mambo, whatever. You're doing some nasty dance with the Prince of Darkness, because if you have anyone, if I'm speaking to the crazy leftist right now, if you have anyone in your life who is even moderately conservative, Charlie Kirk is them. I don't know how to say it. The spirit of someone you'd want to be like, oh, it's my grandpa. Yeah, we'll sit down, we'll talk about this stuff, and we'll be nice. And he disagrees with me, but I'm not gonna. Well, you probably would get weird and be like, I'm not gonna talk to you anymore because you're demonic. You've got a devil in you. He was good at framing every debate into a script. Well, he had a lot of stuff memorized, so he could just pop that stuff out. Dark Admiral says, Blue Sky has actually been shutting people down for celebrating. I don't think it's from a place of compassion, but probably more worried about blowback. Oh my, probably. Blue Sky has actually been shutting. Oh, I already said that. Brooklyn Lou says, was really sad to hear about Charlie Kirk. This must stop. Well, get your people to stop it, Lou. It's not conservatives out there murdering or trying to take out liberals, is it? Is it? The president made it abundantly clear that these circumstances will be dealt with as organized terrorism. That says a lot, and I think it explains much of the media platform's reaction. Yeah. In I think in that very show, like his last one right before it happened, I wasn't watching it. I don't want to say thank God, because I don't know if I could have handled seeing it live. But he was arguing with a trans rights supporter, leftist dingbat. He's like, well, how many trans people have done and been involved in mass shootings? And Charlie Kirk just said, too many. It's a lot. Most of the last dozen, I think, like school shootings have been trans. Hello. It's not the right shooting up the left. It's the left, Lou. So when you say this must stop, I am 100% in agreement with you, but I'm not on the team doing it. So maybe you should get your team to stop however you can. Corpse Grinder says, no one deserves violence for their beliefs, but he wasn't a kind guy. What do you mean he wasn't a kind guy? Give me an example of him being unkind. Give me an example, Corpse. Doesn't matter. DC stopped getting any of my money, and now I don't see that changing anytime soon. Right? But stop, Corpse. Yeah, right. Nanology. I wouldn't be surprised if KC was just a sacrifice. You mean CK? Everything with Trump, Epstein, and upcoming voting. He was picking on college kids with mental illness. He was poking a bear. How do you pick on a college kid? How do you pick on someone who is voluntarily waiting in line to come speak to you? You mean he was better informed than the college kids and made better arguments than the college kids? And trust me, it wasn't just college kids who went up. People like paid, how do you say, professional leftist debaters would go to his events so they could get in line on the microphone. I watched, what was his name? I forget. They're younger guys, but so's Charlie Kirk. He was only 31 years old. And these younger guys would go up and they'd get the phone and they'd try to pick on Charlie, but Charlie tore him apart because Charlie was just, he knew all the numbers. He knew all the statistics. He knew all the facts, and he used those to correct in the debates. There's no picking on. And what do you mean college kids with mental illness? You mean the trans kids who are mentally ill? Is that who you're saying? I'm surprised you said that, Corpse Grinder. Poking a bear. You're trying to lay blame on him? Kids at the age of 18 to 28. Yeah. I never, ever endorse political or religious violence, ever. I'm glad to hear that, Lou. But your side does. Go on your social media, Lou, and see which side is celebrating this, reveling in it, laughing and crying in joy about the assassination of the nicest guy. The nicest guy they could disagree with. Picking on adults seriously. Yeah, it's he's just trying to excuse it. I said no one deserves violence for their ideas. How about when they speak up for those ideas and they're talking about and they're convincing tens of thousands. They can convince so many people that Trump got elected. In no small part, Charlie Kirk and Turning Point USA won this election for Trump. In no small part. Is that what you're mad about? Not you, but the leftists. The left side. You said, but so which is it? You said he poked the bear. Yeah. A little bit slips out, doesn't it? Thoughts and prayers, LOL. Well, Charlie's already in heaven, or he's in the presence of the Lord, however you want to phrase it. So it's really, if you want thoughts and prayers for his family, that poor, beautiful family. Those tiny little kids who have to grow up without a dad now. That's heartbreaking. I agree, no one deserves the violence stance. But, you know the statement, what is it? Everything before but is negated by saying but. So simply, I do not agree that he was a good or wise man. You're not giving me any examples of him not being good or wise. Disagreeing with you? If that's your stance on someone not being good or wise? Is that your argument? Because you're not giving me any examples of him not being nice, good, wise, whatever it is. Zero argument. Did you ever watch him? Did you ever watch like a long form of? He'll sit there. He would have sat there, doing long form debates, taking on any and every question, and politely and patiently having a dialogue. You must have missed the 2 Dems killed recently. Funny how biased the right is. I did miss the 2 Dems killed recently. What 2 Dems? And by whom? Superman, Godfall says, the messages coming out of the left are completely disgusting and wrong. God be with Kirk's family. Amen. And you are 100% correct. It is. I honestly, I couldn't, even for the sake of just seeing what they were saying, after just a handful of those responses, just people just laughing in glee. Oh my gosh, it was making me angry, and I just couldn't keep watching it. How is Kirk not a good or wise man? Yeah, I'm waiting for that answer too. You mean the ones where the conservatives were asking for his manifesto and arrests? I don't know what that is. Didn't even J.D. Vance post a picture making fun of it with hammer and underwear? What? I don't know what that is. You can't put that on Lou. We don't know that Stokes this kind of. We don't know that Stokes this kind of crap. Oh, I'm not putting it on Lou. I'm just saying it's his side that are the psychopaths and the murderers. I'm not saying Lou would do that. I'm not saying Lou agrees with that. I'm just saying that's where his ideology leads. It's what is the I don't know if there's a phrase, but it's like, you know how truths are tested in their extreme, right? It's like, oh, you always got to go to extreme examples because that's how you test a truth. If the extreme of your truth is an obvious wrong, then your truth is wrong, right? It's like the extreme of Christianity. The extreme of Christianity. Who are the most extreme Christians? The ones who follow Christ the closest. It's not someone who would go out and murder somebody, because Jesus would never teach that. It's not someone who would lie, cheat, or steal, because Jesus would never teach that. The extremist version of Christianity is being the closest to Jesus. The people who are like that, they become like missionaries. They sacrifice their life, their time, their talent, their treasure to help other people find Christ. That's the extreme of Christians. The most like Christ. Who are the extremist Muslims? The most like Muhammad. That's how you test. If you're Muslim, if you're like, I want to be so much like Muhammad, I want to have a 6-year-old child bride and be a warlord that kills Christians and Jews. That's how you test if you're religious. What's the extreme of liberalism? Communism? Totalitarianism? Murdering Charlie Kirk? That's how you test your ideology. What is the extreme of your ideology? And if it's something you personally reject, then you might want to freaking do a 180 on your ideology. You lie down with dogs, you wake up with fleas. Not everyone is stable. If you make a living poking fun at unstable people, give me an example of him poking fun at unstable people. You increase your chance of being attacked. That doesn't mean I agree with violence. No, but your ideology does. Hey, Bruno. Rest in peace, Charlie Kirk, all the way from Portugal. Right on, right on. Your lampshading corpse. Yeah. Just keep that same energy when the pendulum swings back, corpse. Stop that BS. Crazy people on both sides shoot people. I'm a member of no political or religious groups, and I think for myself. Thank you. Yeah, I think you're a leftist. Rapture soon. Lucifer Lucero. Hey, you're not related to John Lucero, are you? I don't know how common a name Lucero is. Rapture soon. Maybe. This is what powerful billionaires do. Divide and conquer with their agendas. I'm not sure how one thing leads to the other, Nanology. I'm not sure at all what the correlation is. Having a conversation with equals picking on for corruption. I know, right? How dare you go and have a polite, rational conversation with somebody? He's clearly mentally ill. How do you know they're mentally ill? They're leftists. I've seen some of his debates, and they were not impressive. He just wanted brownie points for his agenda. No, what he wanted to do was have calm dialogue with people who disagreed with him, so he could show them that their arguments don't add up. And they lead to things like assassinating nice guys who just disagree with them. Brooklyn Lou says, I have no guns. I want peace and support only peaceful non-resistance. I mean, that's good. That's good, Lou. I'm glad that you're laying down with the dogs who would kill. Yeah. Are you gonna get up? Forget it. I'm not gonna pick on you, dude. Pick on you. Pick on the old man. Actually, I think I might be older than you. How would Corpse like if the lion bit back? Charlie Kirk was the CEO of and co-founder of Turning Point USA. Go research it. It's backed by millions. Nanology, I actually went to a funders conference. I was there. I know there were hundreds of people there. And, some of them were millionaires. Some of them might have been billionaires. I don't know. But yeah, it's backed by them. Oh my gosh. A lot of his talking points are neo-Nazi adjacent. Give me an example. See, here's the thing, dude. You're so convinced that someone disagreeing with you is a neo-Nazi. Do you know what the Nazis believed in? Do you even know? Do you have a clue? Have you ever read the Nazi political platform? I'm asking you, like, honestly and legitimately. Go look up the 1938 Nazi political platform. You know who it sounds like it was written by? It doesn't sound like it was written by Charlie Kirk or Donald Trump. It sounds like it was written by Bernie Sanders. Hand to God, I literally made a video one time where I said, this is the new Democrat political platform. I think it was for 2020 or something like that. And I was literally reading the 1938 Nazi political platform. I took out the parts where it's, hey, we should probably kill the Jews. I took out those particular things that would make it obviously, like, chronologically not fit in 2020. I promise you, and maybe it'll change your mind if you go and read it and see it for yourself. It sounded like AOC and Bernie Sanders got together to write the Democrat political platform. That's exactly what the Nazis believed. You're on that team, buddy. Sorry. Dud. I do not have a side. My side is good human beings if I were to define a side. Okay, well, Charlie Kirk was a Christian. You're constantly coming here opposing me for the same views that Charlie Kirk espouses. So you do have a side, don't you? You can't throw out a disclaimer and then try to justify my test post. Did this go through? Yes. His daughter was in attendance too. Oh my gosh. You're just making this worse. I mean, I can see it on my side. Andrew Hayes says, hello. How's your last couple days been? Yesterday was very, very hard. I couldn't bring myself to do a show. I had people calling me all day. I was calling some people, and it was just like, this is such a turning point. We'll see what happens. I did not agree with anything Charlie said. Therefore, you were not on his side, were you? Therefore, you did not agree with anything Charlie said. Definitionally, Lou, I don't know if you know what words mean, but that means you were on his opposing side. Nanology went bye-bye, Mike. Are you nuking people? All right, don't permaban him, okay? I tried posting something a couple of times and it kept saying internal error occurred. Seems to be working now. All right. The Dems were killed by another Dem. They worked for Waltz. Oh. Okay. Yeah, I guess Democrats will kill. I guess the other Democrats weren't. Maybe they disagreed on something. Like how J.K. Rowling, super liberal woman, disagrees on one policy, and therefore the other Democrats think she's the enemy. It's a very narrow road. It's a narrow road to be a Democrat or to be a leftist. But look, hey, let them eat their own. I don't mean that like let them kill each other. I don't want them killing each other. But let them fractionalize any way they want over tiny little, any single issue. Does anybody else think that the trans activist stuff was deliberately left by the perpetrators to throw off detectives and direct tensions elsewhere, or I've been wearing a tinfoil hat too long? I didn't even know about it. I couldn't sit there and watch a bunch of stuff about it all day long. I wasn't like glued to the monitor, like watching everything about Charlie Kirk. I had some Razorfist stuff up, like while I was cooking dinner, but that's it. But doesn't always negate the previous statement. But it usually does. Is Charlie Kirk the first Christian martyred in the USA this publicly? No, Martin Luther King Jr. This will piss off the left. This is a MLK Jr. level assassination. You guys might not realize it, but for the youth in America, like I said, Turning Point USA, I don't even know how many members there are. He had 1,000 charters, just 1,000 charters alone. Each charter, I have no idea how many people were in each charter, but say it was 100. That's 100,000 Turning Point members strong. And then you had, like I said, you had not Team America, Club America. I don't even know how many charters they have from Club America, but that's another. Do that math. You had Turning Point Church, you had Turning Point Women, you had Turning Point. You had all these different facets and all these different charters. He had a bigger movement, probably. I don't know. I don't know the math. But this is an MLK level assassination. The attack on Pelosi's husband, that was years ago, and the circumstances were strange. Oh, wasn't it like the guy that attacked him was like a gay activist himself or some crap like that? So yeah, that's the left attacking the left. Okay, what we're looking for with your claim that there's violence on both, there's extremist violence on both sides. Again, the extremists on the Christian side are missionaries working in Uganda, digging wells for people and sacrificing their own lives and livelihoods to help people come to Christ and have better lives. So the extremists on the left, murdering Charlie Kirk, trying to kill, whatever, killing each other apparently. You have not noticed that extremists on both sides do violence? Come on, man. Again. Can you give me some examples of hardcore right-wingers just going out and murdering people? Jesus did flip tables and saying, oh, and whip people. That's true. We should do more of that, though. The violent ones are not the most like Christ. Right. That's what I'm saying. Christian extremists. See, Charlie was a Christian. That's probably why he really held his temper. If the guy even had a temper, he never like yelled and demeaned the people he was talking to. He was always super polite, kind, generous. They targeted the nicest guy in the movement. How many right-wingers are burning down buildings these days? Yeah, I don't know. I think these guys forget the summer of love. Who was burning down buildings, rioting, stealing, doing all that stuff? Do you think that was church-going, Trump supporters? Oh, no, wait. Yeah, but look at who's that kid that shot the 3 pedophiles because they were chasing after him, trying to kill him? Kyle Rittenhouse. Kyle Rittenhouse was violent. That was self-defense, and they were trying to kill him. And the 3 people he shot turned out to be the worst human beings. Leftists, by the way. But he didn't go there and just open fire on leftists. I think he was the first Christian to be assassinated in public. I could be wrong. Martin Luther King Jr. It's been a minute. Okay, so think on this. What did God do when he was mad at humans and when he made a flood kill everybody? Come on, man. God's the author of life and death, Lou. When he wants to start over, that's his choice. Yeah, we are not looking at it from a political perspective, but a Christian one. Even so, what conservative, libertarian, what right wingers are doing anything like this? And don't say neo Nazis are right wing, because that means you're completely politically ignorant. If I don't agree with violence, how is it my ideology? It is the extreme of your ideology. Are you not connecting the dots here? All of this stuff is a lie. All of this, oh, look at all the right-wing violence. Show me some actual right-wing violence. All of the violence. You were here for the Summer of Love, right? 2020 was not that long ago. It was 5 short years ago where the left was trying to burn this entire country to the ground. Do you not recall that? Do you you have a selective memory or something? They tried to kill Trump. They killed Charlie Kirk. They shoot up schools. Where is the right wing violence that you guys have been somehow convinced exists? It's all left wing. All the school shooters are left wing. They've been indoctrinated into your men can be women and women can be men. Hogwash. That argument is getting old now. Stop using the flood to justify your hate for God. Yeah, let's not even get into that topic. Never had a gun in my life. Smoke pot and want peace. I fight with words on YouTube. The idea that I have a side that is violent is only showing your colors. No. Brooklyn Lou, the extreme of your side's ideology leads to that. Leads to violence. The extreme of your side's ideology led to Charlie Kirk getting assassinated yesterday. You know what the part of the ideology is? It's fascism. I don't like what you say. Therefore, I will take away your ability to speak. That's cancel culture, which, yeah, I know I'm kind of embracing now. You guys being so fascist is going to push me into appreciating fascism. Because we can't just lay down the tools at our disposal to fight back against this freaking insanity. But you guys have employed cancel culture for years. So that we've gotten one person canceled on the left because they're a mental case celebrating the killing of Charlie Kirk. I was glad to hear it. God doesn't simply get mad, he passes judgment, right? Far more left-wing groups are backed by billions. Oh, yeah, that's true. That's true. I mean, George Soros is like the funder of probably more than half, probably most of the violent left-wing ideological organizations. Everybody calling people they disagree with a Nazi is how we got here. I remember that, Mike. A 1939 census showed 54% Protestant and 41% Catholic. That's what the Nazis believed. Did you read the political platform, Corpse Grinder? Did you? 1938, 1939, whatever, that whole era. Every year they had an election, they had a political platform that they ran on to get elected. Go look what it said. More than the people celebrating his murder, I truly despise the cowards who misrepresented his views. Yep. He was a standard issue Republican conservative. Yep. Ikau Pipa says trans woman is a man. Correct. Correctus. Mike, I do not dislike you, man. I don't know. You don't know me in the least. I only want what's best for you. But if you take that as I must agree with you, you are wrong, and I don't understand at all. I'm not saying you have to agree with me, dude. But this is just a basic concept. And I know you'll understand it, Lou. You're not an idiot. If you disagree on my political religious beliefs, you are on the opposing side of those beliefs. Right? Agree, disagree. Pro-Christ, anti-Christ. Pro-biology, pro-trans rights. Right? These are opposing ideologies. Your ideological spectrum, as far as I have recognized, and we've been talking for a long time now, you're on the left. The left is the ideological spectrum, when taken to its extreme, becomes fascist, becomes communist, becomes totalitarian, murders people for disagreeing with their beliefs. That's not saying that you're on the extreme left, but that's where that is the extremity of your ideological side. This is inarguable. Did not agree with Charlie at all, then you did not agree with his stance on free speech. What a self-own, Brooklyn. Oof. Buddy Rabbit was the guy who shanked Nanology only because he got there before me. I saw a sickening accusation of Nazism. There was trans or LGBT engravings on the bullet casings. What? Are you serious? Wow. The question was about gun violence. It is strange timing, or maybe on purpose, to send a message. Oh. That's interesting. Or scratched onto the bullet casings found in the assassin's supposed gun. They found his gun? Maybe I need to follow up on some stuff. I just... I think the Pelosi attack was a drug deal gone bad rather than political violence. Yeah, if it was political violence, they would have attacked his wife. The guy that attacked Pelosi was a gay Green Party supporter. Denver shooter, trans, Aberdeen, Nashville, Georgia, Philadelphia, Uvalde, Colorado, Minnesota, and now Utah were all trans shooters. They're evil. They're mentally ill. There's no way around it. If your brain disagrees with your biology, there's something wrong with your brain, not your biology. Biology is real, fact, truth. Ideas, thoughts in your head can be wrong. They cannot alter the truth. And if you think your truth is false, that's up here. Bullet casing recovered at the scene of Charlie Kirk's assassination contained wording expressing transgender and anti-fascist writing, according to preliminary reports shared among law enforcement. Interesting. How many right-wingers attack ICE facilities or courthouses? Well, that'd be zero, Superman. Maybe Brooklyn should read the book of Enoch if you really cared for an answer. Interesting. Last I remember hearing about extremist Christians were those Westboro Baptist cousin lovers. Okay. I don't know a lot about the Westboro Baptists. I don't know anything about the cousin lovers. But yeah, even Westboro, have they done anything violent? Those are kind of like some weird cultish Christian things. But Michael Brown riots, leftists. Riots on college campuses, leftists. I personally was attacked by Christian nationalists when I was holding a Kamala Harris sign. Attacked how, Lou? And why were you holding a Kamala Harris sign? I mean, I just said that you weren't stupid, but now you're telling me that legitimately you are stupid. Another example: the LA riots just this summer, right? Gotta run. Have a good one. All right, later, regular. You don't know me. You don't tell me I'm part of that crap. I know what you say. I can judge by your words that you are a leftist, and therefore you are on the side of the spectrum. Take your beliefs, take your ideology, corpse. What do the extremists of your ideology do? That is where the extreme of your ideology leads. Do you want to be on the extreme that leads to murder and totalitarianism? Or do you want to be on the extreme of people who sacrifice their lives for the sake of and well-being and eternal life of others? I know you don't believe in Christianity, and I'm sorry for it, but you cannot deny that the extreme of Christianity is selfless, loving, and giving, and the extreme of your ideology is murder and despotism. So take your pick, man. Dude, you are nuts if you think I lead to Charlie Kirk being assassinated. I literally posted a short right after about how I heard it, saying how sad I was about it. Is it this difficult for you guys to understand what I'm saying? It's not you personally, but your ideology is on the spectrum that leads to this. If you don't like that, then get out. But it's fact. It's not an opinion. It is a simple fact. There's a hard difference between conservatives and Christian conservatives. Oh, there's a hard, yeah, that's fair. Left and right are two heads on the same snake. Neither side gives a F about people. That's just a lie. That's a lie. Why did they hang Dietrich Bonhoeffer then, corpse? Just because they claim Christianity doesn't mean they are. I can live in a garage doesn't make me a Ferrari. I'm not lumping you in with the nuts on the other side. Look, there's a center, there's a moderate, and there's an extreme. Right? But where does your side's extreme lead to? This is why historians, leftist historians, have tried so hard to label fascism and Nazis and you know all that right wing. When just doing a very, very basic reading of what they believed and their political stances, it's super, super freaking left wing. But it was a little bit to the right of the communists. So they label it as right wing because they want to claim that the right is just as violent as the left. Bull. It's absolute hogwash. If you go by policy and belief, nothing about the Nazis is right wing. Nothing about totalitarianism is right wing. Right wing wants small government. Totalitarianism is total government. Right wing is small government. Fascism is government control of everything. What? There's nothing. There is no rational way. But this is why they do it. So that guys like you can say, oh, they're just two heads on the same snake. Blah, blah, blah. The regular German army wore belt buckles with the phrase, God with us. So what? This is about policy and beliefs and actions, corpse grinder. Not about, oh gosh, they wore a belt buckle. You are so blind to truth. It is embarrassing. Violence is not even a part of my beliefs. No, it's part of your ideology, though. Again, dude, I'm not going to keep going on. You're not listening. You are impossible to listen. That's terrible. I don't agree with Mike entirely on this one, Brooklyn Lou. Sorry, you're wrong, Dark Admiral. Dang it, I removed those messages and commented with a correct statement above somewhere up there. Wow. I gotta wrap this up pretty quick here. If a Christian kills someone, they do daily in America, Mike, does that make Mike on the side of murder? Why not? Because that is not the extreme of my ideology. If a Christian kills someone, it goes against the ideology of Christianity. Right? The ideology of leftism is, frankly, it's moral subjectivism. So you can't even say it's wrong. That not believing in moral objectivity negates your ability to even say killing Charlie Kirk was wrong yesterday. You have no right and wrong. It literally means nothing when a moral subjectivist says that's wrong. What's wrong? I mean, what's wrong as in define wrong. I don't like it. Mike, don't you know that words are violent these days? Why, just a few days ago, someone said hello to me and nearly dislocated my jaw. Was attacked physically. Okay, well, those people were not... were they acting like Christ? Were they acting like Christ when they attacked you physically? No. Westboro Baptist generally annoying clowns, but I remember correctly, they're all related. They're all related? So since I was attacked physically, I suppose that you support violence. Same reasoning you use. I do support violence. Depending on the violence. People say violence is never the answer. Sometimes violence is the answer. It depends on what the question is. Westboro Baptist Church were mostly lawyers who staged protests to get a response out of the opposing side so they could take them to court to win money. That was a lot. Spidey in the Ville says, doesn't every extreme ultimately end in too much of that thing? I believe I've heard something like that before. If you're an extremist Christian, you're trying to live the closest line to being perfect and good and righteous and selfish, selfless and self-sacrificing as Christ did. So is that too much of that thing? I mean, some people would probably say so, right? It's like, why are you giving all your stuff away? Don't you at least want to live in comfort? It's like, no, I want to give everything that I have. Everything that I have, I want to give so that I can live a humble, meek, self-sacrificing life for the benefit of others and to build the kingdom of God. Is that too much? A lot of people would say that's too much, but people do it. Those extremist Christians, they didn't crusade with flowers and hugs. That's right. They did not. They had to crusade to take to defend against the constant blood and misery being spread by the Islamic world. You do realize all those everywhere in the Middle East, they used to be Christian, and the violent extremist Muslims took those places over by the sword and by murder and by rape. and by oppression. And so, yes, that's the answer. Violence begets violence. So when the Crusaders got up and said, all right, no more of this. Yes, the Crusades were completely justified. Not even justified. They were good. To be fair, Mike, European left-right spectrum is different than American one. Both are big government supporters over here. Okay. That's not, we're talking about the American definitions of these things. All right, we are way over time here. Christians often do not act like Christ. That's the point. You know what the great thing about that is, Lou? Is that you're right and you can tell. Right? You can tell. You can be like, that's not very Christ-like. And you know what the ideology of Christianity is because you can judge when someone's not being very Christ-like. Huh? You're making my point for me, Lou. Thank you. All right. Anyways, that's it. I gotta go. Jump in the Discord if you want to continue the conversation. Rest in peace, Charlie. You'll be missed, but I feel like you are a seed that will just plant it in the ground and will blossom into 1,000, 10,000 more Charlie Kirks and be a true turning point for this nation and the world. God bless us all.